China was democratic. A lot of people thought that way, that they were becoming more democratic. And Chinese people are so amazing, they're so kind. China as a country is such a beautiful country, and I agree with all that. But the point is, China is not represented by the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese people are not, the Chinese government does not have in good faith the Chinese people. And I want to show that through my slides today. Real quick, I actually have, you can go to the next slide. I actually have a first-hand experience with the authoritarian control of the CCP myself. When I was 12, I visited my lovely grandmother in Inner Mongolia, and this was my first time seeing her in years, and so I was really excited. But as soon as I land at the airport, we have people tailing us, like black cars tailing us, in my uncle's car, and as soon as we get into the threshold of my grandmother's house, 3 policemen come knocking. They come knocking, and they storm in the door. They're shouting, they're screaming. They tell my grandmother, "Can we take your granddaughter, somewhere to ask her questions?" And she's terrified. I honestly thought it was some sort of James Bond movie that my dad always liked. And plus, I was already 5'10" at 12 years old, so I was actually towering over all 3 policemen. And it just seemed so silly because they were so afraid of me teaching her meditation, or of me telling her how America is really like, or how Falun Gong does not believe in violence, and Falun Gong is actually not a threat to the political power in China. And so eventually my uncle bought me a ticket back to Shanghai, so I hugged her and I left, and that was my last memory of her because she grew sick and she actually passed away that same year. So this leads me to all of my research. You can go to the next slide. I specialize in, the Falun Dafa Information Center specializes in documenting persecution. What does that look like in numbers? How many stories are left untold? What voices can we give to the voiceless? And so last year, unfortunately, we crossed the threshold of 5,000 documented deaths. And documented deaths mean we have their full name, we have contact of their family members, we have the exact prison, labor camp, detention center that they died in, and we also have more details about their job, how they died, and more details that can be verified through different organizations. So these are documented deaths. And in addition to those, there are undocumented deaths. A major portion of this is forced organ harvesting victims. This isn't something that I want to talk about today in detail, but organ harvesting in China is state subsidized and state run, and military hospitals are the ones to do it. So as you can see from this chart, transnational repression is worldwide. In 2021, Freedom House found that the Chinese regime engages in the most sophisticated, global, and comprehensive campaign of transnational repression in the world, and one of its primary targets is Falun Gong. This persecution manifests in 4 main ways: physical attacks, disinformation, sabotaging Falun Gong-related events, and infiltration of universities. And I'll touch upon these bit by bit as we go. Falun Gong practitioners outside of China have thus faced break-ins to their home, physical assaults, and even shootings. So you can go to the next slide. This is in Australia. Last year, during a flower festival in Canberra, of all places, this Falun Gong practitioner had on her car, "The CCP does not equal China." And 2 Chinese nationals, young men, spray painted her car, and she was notified of this, and so she went to stop them, and they elbowed her, pulled her up by the throat, and smashed her on the ground. Both of them were convicted, obviously, but this is her after the event, after she was attacked. And then you can go to the next slide. And this is in New York 2 years ago. The petition booth right here that you see